So you were on probation, drinking and driving, selling drugs, and carrying a gun. Do you think you have a problem with alcohol?
To be honest, no.
Okay. Oh. So do you think it's just bad luck that you've been arrested for all these driving under the influence?
I would say I would do it at the wrong time. I wouldn't say it was bad luck. I say I would do it at the wrong time.
What do you mean by that?
By like drinking and driving and on certain type of days. And
We're about to watch the parole hearing of a man who really can't seem to stay out of trouble, yet he continues to get a slap on the wrist after slap on the wrist. He's serving a maximum of 30 months for his recent offenses. His full term date would be June 21st, 2025 if he is not paroled. Let's jump in and listen to this hearing.
Serving a sentence of 5 years, execution suspended after 30 months jail with 3 years probation to follow for criminal possession of a firearm defense weapon, illegal operating a motor vehicle under the influence, VOP of illegal possession of a weapon in a motor vehicle, possession with intent to sell, dispense hallucinogens, and illegal operation of a motor vehicle under influence, alcohol, or drugs. As of today, record reflects a parole eligibility date of 3/20/2024 at 50%. There's no victim input in this case. The offender has an offender accountability plan. Review of the plan shows the offender has completed voices. He's currently working as an outside clearance worker and he remains on the wait list for addiction services. Utilizes the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system scores the offender overall score for recidivate enforcement at the high range. Mr. Miller, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. May I begin?
I feel like I should be granted parole because I think I had like a good enough disciplinary to the point where I have changed. I want to change my life around. And I think that what I did was wrong. And because of that, I now have 2 kids now. So I want to change my life around for them. And I also have to help my girlfriend because she's in need of help. So
All right. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, you can go.
No. I thought you were done. Keep talking. That's fine.
Okay. So doing voices, it taught me that I could have really hurt myself and I could also like hurt other people. So thinking of that, I want to say sorry for breaking the law. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Miller, for your statement. We have questions for you. When we're done with our questions, we'll deliberate and give you our decision. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll begin with my colleague, Ms. Palmieri.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Miller, these are some very concerning charges. You got multiple driving under the influences. One of the cases, the car was in drive and you were intoxicated in the back seat of the car?
The back seat.
Yeah, or sleeping in the car?
Yeah, sleeping in the car, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And was your license valid or was it still under suspension from the driving under the influences?
I think it was still under the suspension because I haven't paid the fee, but I think it was up though, so it was still under.
Okay. And were you supposed to have an interlock system in your car?
They just had sent me that like after the fact.
Okay. So you said you know what you did was wrong. What did you do that was wrong?
What did I do that was wrong? I was driving drunk. I had a legal weapon in the car, and I had legal drugs.
Okay. Let's start with why were you selling drugs and why did you have a gun?
I had a gun because I had a recently friend that had passed, and I was just scared of my life. I was trying to protect my family. So I was just keeping it for defense, and I was selling drugs because I had no job, and I was trying to make money for my family.
Why weren't you working?
I wasn't working because I was still in this case, and nobody wanted to hire me at the point because I was still like under investigation and stuff.
So when you applied for jobs, they knew you were under investigation, so they wouldn't hire you?
Yes,
Okay. I don't know how they would know that unless you told them.
they had looked in when they looked at my background.
Okay, well, that makes a little bit more sense. They looked at your criminal history.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Have you done drug treatment before?
Yes,
Where have you done it?
I have done it at AIC, and I did addiction services here. I
did
think
it-
it was 2017.
Okay. Was that one of the tier programs?
I think so.
Okay, or a DUI program?
I think it was a DUI program, but it was addiction services though.
Okay. So you were on probation, drinking and driving, selling drugs and carrying a gun.
Right.
Okay. So my question to you is, why wouldn't you talk to probation about helping you with employment? And why were you not going to drug treatment or alcohol treatment?
I wasn't supposed to do a drug treatment.
Well, were you supposed to be doing something for your DUIs? Going to any kind of programming, not drinking?
I don't think so. Not that I know of.
Okay. So what was probation having you do then?
I was almost done with my own probation actually.
42 days out of 3 years.
Did you hear Ms. Page?
Say that again?
You completed 242 days of your probation, and it was a 3-year term. That's not almost done.
So that leaves you,
Not even
that
half.
leaves you almost 2 years left.
Oh, when I had went to my last when they told me to come in, that's when they told me I was almost done.
Okay. All right. So let's move forward. So since you've been incarcerated, you've done the Voices program and you have a job at doing outside clearance maintenance work.
Yes,
You have
ma'am.
outside clearance doing maintenance work. Okay. How long have you been doing that?
I started May 1st of last year.
Okay. All right. And you're still waiting to do addiction services.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What do you think would be the benefit of doing a program like that?
It would help me. To be honest, I think being in here this amount of time, it has rehab me, and I think that class will help me a little bit. But to be honest, I know where my head is, and I don't want to do anything dumb
What would be dumb?
like drink or drive, like
You think
probably
you
not even drink.
Probably not even drink. Do you think you have a problem with alcohol?
To be honest, no.
Okay. Oh. So do you think it's just bad luck that you've been arrested for all these driving under the influence?
I would say I would do it at the wrong time. I wouldn't say it was bad luck. I say I would do it at the wrong time
What do you mean by that?
by like drinking and driving and on certain type of days and just driving and drinking.
Period.
Period.
You're drinking, you should not be driving.
Right.
See, when I read all the information about your your drug history, your alcohol history primarily. You know, I see somebody that struggles with alcohol. You drink excessively, you drink where you are sleeping in a car, you get behind a wheel. So for me, I'm seeing somebody that needs something to help him appreciate
I would
the
say that.
benefits of being sober, why he should be sober, and why alcohol is a problem.
I would say that.
Okay. You told the parole officer you've been sober since February 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
When you are back out in the community, you have 3 years of probation, what do you think you need to be doing?
Well, I have a job lined up for myself if I am to be released soon in the Hartford Hospital, so that will help me out.
Okay. And you mentioned to the parole officer that you would like to release to your girlfriend's house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And why is that a supportive environment for you?
That's a supportive environment for me because now I have a newborn that I haven't even touched yet, and it's killing me that I haven't even touched him yet, and I do not want to mess that up. And I also have a 7-year-old daughter that misses me a lot.
What are your, other than employment, you're living with your girlfriend, what else is your plan for being in the community?
My other plans are to get my license restored, and I'm trying to also look forward to doing CDLs if that's possible for me.
All right. Well, that might be a little bit of a challenge with your driving record, but down the road, you never know. It's
gonna
a
go
good
for it.
long-term goal. All right. So you graduated from high school in 2013. That was 14 years ago, roughly. What have you been doing in that 14 years?
I have been dipping and dodging out of jobs. I would say I got 2 kids now.
Let me ask you a quick question. Why do you think it's difficult for you to keep a job? I mean, at one point you were working for UPS. That seems to me that would be a good job, especially for somebody with children, a family to support. So what do you think the struggle is with keeping a job?
I would say back then I was a little lazy. So, and the UPS job I had, it was a supervisor that didn't like me. So I had came in from sick and I didn't call, and I could have got that job back, but I didn't call the union.
You know, well, you're 30 now, so I'm hoping that you can appreciate that. You know, sometimes you just have to, you know, keep quiet and just move forward, right? So you can't like everybody you work with. You gotta sort of make the best of situations sometimes, especially when you have a family to support,
Right.
especially when you're on probation, on parole. You know, and employment provides structure and stability. You know, you seem to have struggled with that since 2016, at least. So, all right, Mr. Miller, thank you for answering my questions.
You're welcome.
Ms. Page?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Miller, some of the things that you shared with my colleague, I've just cringed. You know, part of the reason it's looking at your record that you couldn't maintain employment is because your occupation may have been selling narcotics.
Can you repeat that question?
Your occupation, your choice of occupation, instead of working like a legal job, was selling drugs in the community. And that was very relatively lucrative, right? You make a whole lot of money selling drugs rather than going to a 9 to 5, coming home with maybe $500 if you're lucky.
You're right about that, but being in here, it changed my whole life around. So I want to just change my ways of how I act and how I see things, and not want to end up back in here.
Well, we don't want you to end up back there either, but you know, you're your own worst enemy, sir. When you said you wanted to obtain your CDL license, I was like, my heart dropped because can you imagine what would happen driving an 18-wheeler under the influence?
Wouldn't be good.
Exactly.
It could be a catastrophe.
I mean, it's just, I just don't understand. And you're saying to us that, oh no, I don't have a problem with alcohol, and you got caught at the wrong time. Is that what you said? You were caught at the wrong time, or you were just, it was the wrong
I
time?
think you meant drinking at the wrong time, yeah.
What's drinking at?
They're driving.
Oh, yeah, because you had an empty bottle of Hennessy in the car, right?
Correct.
And you said you were coming from a party?
No, I was basically, yeah.
So you were drinking at the party. You brought your own Hennessy to the party, or did you get the Hennessy after?
I brought it to the party.
And in your underlying offense, you were under the influence of alcohol and marijuana, right?
Correct.
And why did you have a knife in your car?
Was that the recent one, or was that the one in
16.
2016? Oh, that I had a knife because I was doing I wasn't really using that as a weapon. That was just in my car because I was cutting something open.
What were you cutting open that you had to leave it in the car? I was cutting
like a bag or something that was hard to open, and I accidentally left it in my car. I wouldn't even have the ball. Excuse my language, but I wouldn't have the balls to even cut anybody. To be honest with you.
So why would you have a gun? If you wouldn't hurt anybody with a knife, why would you have a gun? And then to protect your family. Go ahead, to be honest.
Well, I had a situation that I had a couple people that passed away, and I hung around them, so I didn't want to get retaliated on. And I live in Hartford, so that's why I had moved to East Hartford to get out of that situation.
So you think the people in Hartford can't come to East Hartford?
Say that again?
You think the people that are in Hartford cannot come to East Hartford?
Or if I don't let nobody know where I live, and a lot of people knew where I lived.
It's your mentality, Mr. Miller. You know, trouble. I don't think most people go looking for trouble. Trouble can find you wherever you are. And, you know, the mentality of I had to have a gun to protect my family, it is concerning to me because innocent people are losing their lives every single day because of people like yourself who choose to carry these firearms without the proper training and the proper licensure. You know, bullets don't discriminate. Anyone can fall victim to that. And if you, especially in the hands of a person who wants to drink alcohol, smoke marijuana, and carry a firearm, recipe for disaster. You have to understand that. It's bigger than just you operating a motor vehicle. It's the compilation of everything together. It's concerning. Okay. And your sentences are just going to get longer and longer because this is your second weapons charge. How many DUIs?
2 or 3.
At least three,
Yeah, it's gotta be 3.
at least.
I don't know, Mr. Miller. This is a big ask.
I did see your evaluation from Voices. It says you did very good. And you have outside clearance?
Yes, and I also have a work report that I had forgot and on my bunk.
There's a work report, he forgot it back in his phone.
What does it say?
It said I have been. It says excellent, and I have been doing all the good standards at what I do when I'm outside, and I never missed a day.
Well,
You remember what you said to my colleague about UPS? You didn't go to work, you were sick, but you didn't call?
Yes,
Just imagine if I was sick and I didn't call my boss and say I wasn't gonna be here today. This is my job. I'm supposed to be here to talk to you. What do you think would happen with this hearing?
yeah, but you're right.
What?
But that situation I called in sick one day, and we get 3 days off. So that supervisor didn't know because he had just came back in. So when you come back in, I had came back in. He told me I was fired.
Well, that's not what you just said though. What you just said was you didn't call. Now you're saying that you did call?
I called, yeah, because the supervisor that was there already, he knew. And then when he came back in, the next supervisor that came in, he came back in and didn't know that I called in sick. Because when you call in sick, it's 3 days that you have to not call.
But you
And then
said
when
you
you come
didn't
back,
call.
yes. I said I did call, and then I didn't call in. I was supposed to call in. So when I came back to work,
And to say that I'm coming back.
yeah, to come back, yes.
Oh,
So
okay.
yes,
Right. I understand now. Okay. All right.
and I never called the union, so I could have got that job back. To be honest with you,
Well, you can't squander a job. You're never going to make the kind of money that you were making selling drugs by not showing up to work. You have to get your education, go back to school, but
I plan on that.
yeah, I hope so, because you're accumulating a history, Mr. Miller, at a very young age. All right, I'm all set, Madam Chair.
thank you. So, Mr. Miller, what I see is a whole lot of immaturity, if I'm being quite honest with you. You know, dipping and dodging jobs, and you'll regret that someday. I read in the paper, the UPS drivers, when you get up to a driver position, they're making more than us. And they make a lot of money. That's a solid career with the Teamsters. So you're a union worker, like, it's immaturity. The way you were behaving, and the weapons, saying, you were scared for your life and protecting your family. What are you going to do with that gun? You're going to kill somebody?
I ain't gonna kill nobody, but I'm.
But what? Somebody comes with a gun, you're going to pull out the gun, and one of you is going to die. So who are you protecting? Or you might get somebody killed by pulling out that gun, because the person you're pulling it on might have their own gun and think they have to defend themselves. It just doesn't make sense.
You're right.
And you told our parole officer that one of your risks might be problems with people in the community. Who do you have problems with?
Whoever had retaliated on my boy, a couple of them.
Right, but what does that have to do with you?
I hang around them.
Okay,
and
so
now
don't
I
hang
don't.
around anymore. I mean,
Yeah, I know. That's why.
yeah,
But
you're well into adulthood now. You can't act like a kid anymore. You're 30 years old and you're a father. So
absolutely.
you have to change your thinking, and you have to move forward, establish a career for yourself, stop hanging out. Those days are over. And I would really rethink your idea that alcohol is not a problem, because according to my records, it is. And maybe you're in some kind of denial and you think you can control your alcohol use, but the average person does not go out for a few drinks and fall asleep driving their car, sir. That's a problem. So I'm done with my question. I think my colleagues covered it all. Give us some time to discuss your case. You can listen to our deliberation. We'll give you our decision, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Palmieri, thank you. You're welcome.
So Mr. Miller has done some good things in
Yeah.
terms of the Voices program. As we've said, outside clearance isn't just given to anyone.
Yeah.
He has no disciplinary reports, has a place to live. I guess the charges are what they are. They're serious. We've gone through them. The fact that this is probably his third DUI, plus he has a driving while under suspension. I mean, all that is a risk to the public. And the fact that he doesn't acknowledge or recognize, maybe it's better, that he has an alcohol problem.
Yeah.
So my biggest concern is that he hasn't done an addiction services program, any kind of tier program. And being that he's 30 years old, I guess I want to be hopeful that he would gain some insight from it, as opposed to when he took it probably a couple of years ago. So I would be a deny for today, but I'd be willing to bring Mr. Miller back in 6 months and have him do a tier program.
Thank you. Ms. Page?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have Mr. Miller denied as well. I don't have him coming back. The fact that he committed this offense while he was on probation, and the lack of the program, it just in discussing here today, I don't know if that very much has changed.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that he is appropriate for discretionary parole at this time.
I have similar concerns. I don't hear the change that I hoped to hear in discussing this case with Mr. Miller. He really did present very poorly, and I don't know that he's learned anything from this incarceration. I have real concerns about him returning to the community. But he does have 3 years of probation supervision to follow, so I would not be in favor of a rehear either. Reasons for denial.
Probation?
Yes, definitely while on probation, criminal history. Anything else?
So get into a tier. I would add that.
Inadequate program? All right. Oh, boy.
And evidence of probation factor. Like a program for the
Same, yeah, we'll put those together. And then you want to we'll note for the record that you were in favor of a rehear.
Yes, I will.
In the matter of Rashad Miller, inmate number 423545, I'll make a motion to deny parole for the following reasons. Inadequate program participation and evidence of offender change, offense committed while on probation, and criminal history. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, I'm sorry, sir. Unfortunately, we could not grant you parole, but we hope that you'll continue to work on yourself and take advantage of the probation that you have to follow, because they can help you the same way that parole can with programming and services. We want you to be successful and not come back here, sir. Thank you.
So, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So
Yes, you can.
I wouldn't be up to come back to parole, or so I'm just
No.
denied.
Right. I mean, you're done. I don't know what his estimated release is next year. Yeah, about a year from now. You can talk to your counselor about applying for halfway house. I don't know if your halfway house approved or not, but
I
he is. Yeah. Okay. So you could possibly go out on community release through the Department of Corrections. Talk to your counselor.
okay.
This concludes the hearing for Mr. Miller, Rashad Miller, 4545. We can get this in the mail, okay, Mr. Miller, so you're all set.
All right.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Where's Mr. Mirabello when you need him, right? Now, I think that they did a decent job in the sense that they were disgusted and disturbed by how much he's a risk to going back to the public, and how he hasn't done anything to improve, and how he is in denial about his drinking problems. But also, I think that what we see here is that it is a clear case of just kicking the ball down the road. I mean, his full term date is June 21st, 2025. That's in 14 months. And wouldn't it have been better to, like, this is the time where I might actually say, Steve Hoyle makes sense. Instead of just saying, well, why don't you just sit in prison and wait for your full term date? We'll worry about it later. Why not send him to some type of long-term substance abuse program where he can graduate in 9 months, hopefully learn something, hopefully, we don't know, and then as his carrot at the end of the tunnel, he gets out, 5 months early, or whatever the math is. That's actually something that I think I can appreciate what Louisiana does in these type of specific situations, because simply letting him out, what, do we expect a change? The only thing that would be going is like basically the 3 years probation. So what you have to do is hope that when he gets in the car and drinks, that when he is caught, that he doesn't not kill anyone, and he is now caught and sent back to prison because of violating probation, which he's already done in this case. So there is no proof that he's not going to go and do it. He was on probation when he got locked up for this. With everything on the line, he still couldn't help himself but to get in the car with an empty bottle, pass out in his car with all of the risk, with prison, facing prison time, knowing all of that. That is the definition of having no control over your sobriety, when you can't make decisions that are in your own clear best interest. And they're going to release him in the same scenario. Now, as one of the board members, it seemed that she wanted to make on a record that she was opposed. I think she wanted to have him to come back in 6 months for some type of program, and they said no. I don't know what that program is and exactly what it. And I think they should have done that, because it whether the program actually has an effect or not, I get it. This probably, but still is better than just kicking the ball down the road. I mean, he doesn't even have enough knowledge to know that at his own parole hearing, to at least pretend that he knows he has a problem. That's how far away he is from not being a menace to society, a risk to society. He doesn't even know that he should fake it. So the DOC locked him up to protect him for a short term, but but it has done nothing to protect society for the long term. And it just makes you wonder why are there no mandatory programs? Why are they not? Why is he not being? It's just crazy to me. Then, you talk about, for all the different arguments, people say, well, he has he had no opportunity. What's he supposed to do? And it's like, no, that's not true. He had a job with UPS. And I went on to AI and to look in to just, I was curious. And UPS, they have a whole felon program. It depends on what your felony was and when you had your felony. They don't get into the details on the website. Then I looked at the starting salaries. I was curious about that. It's not as high as I thought. It's like the median for a UPS driver in Connecticut is $39,700 a year. And then there are different, not everyone's a driver, right? You could be a stock handler at $37,000. You could be in shipping, receiving. There's different, but it is a union job. So you get all those health benefits. And then I bet the money, because I had always heard, and I think a lot of us had heard how UPS pays well. So I bet it's in the overtime. You probably during the peak seasons can make I don't know what the number is, but I'm sure you can make 50, a large chunk of maybe of your salary in the 2 or 3 months of the year just in overtime. That would be a guess. We keep seeing people in Connecticut losing what seems to be good union jobs at UPS, and that's, I really wonder they don't share the numbers. I tried to find it, like what the success is of the program, what the turnover rate is, what percentage stay. It's not a number they make public, right? I think, what I want to do? I want to hear some Mr. Mirabella, because I think that hearing what Mr. Mirabella would have said in this situation is would be quite a gem. So let's go listen to just a little bit of Mirabella.
Well, I mean, what about the first DWI, second DWI, third DWI, fourth DWI, third, fourth, fifth, sixth revocation? You've had a number of opportunities, and I bet you felt the same way in each one of them. I ain't going back again. This is my last one. And yet you get back out and you go back to drinking or doing drugs. So, are you an alcoholic?
No, sir.
You're not.
No, sir.
You've been convicted of how many DWIs?
4.
It's fair to say you probably were behind the wheel 40 times drinking and driving. You've been to prison for drinking and driving. You don't think you're an alcoholic?
I've made very bad decisions while drinking. Drinking tends to change the person that I am.
Well, let me tell you something. You go to AA?
I intend to when I get home, yes, sir.
Have you ever gone to AA?
No, sir.
There's a saying in AA, and that saying is, I didn't get in trouble every time I was drinking, but every time I got in trouble, I was drinking.
Yes, I agree with that.
And you don't think you have an alcohol problem, that you're an alcoholic, until you accept the fact that you have a drinking problem and you are an alcoholic, you're going to continue to do the same things. So tell me what your tools are that I can be comfortable saying, I'm going to vote to release you because I'm not worried about you going out and killing one of my friends or one of my family members because they happen to run into you on the streets when you're drinking and drunk and driving. So tell me what you're going to do that makes me comfortable to say, I'm willing to let you out.
Now, that's kind of what I was looking for. And if you haven't seen this parole hearing, it was quite incredible, again, to see it. This guy just did not identify as having a problem, even though he's sitting in prison for his fourth DUI. I'll put a link to this. If you're not familiar, there's a chance that you're not familiar that I have a second channel that covers Louisiana parole hearings, and it's very different, Louisiana and Connecticut. Man, the way they handle the hearings, the culture, it's night and day. But I'll put a link to that here if you want to see this hearing. It's, you kind of don't know, what's the saying with you don't know what you have until it's gone, and that's because Mr. Mirabella is no longer on the board, but we have plenty of hearings where he makes an appearance. And I know that in some cases he takes it overboard, like pushing someone who maybe was drinking when he was 17, 38 years ago when he committed a crime, and Mr. Mirabella insisting that the guy has a drinking problem, but neither here nor there. Anyways, this was an interesting hearing. Thank you, Richard, for the info, and also Carol, who had contributed when Richard was away with providing this information on this case. I think the bottom line is that he's getting out no matter what in June of 2025, and he's not going to have the tools, and that's scary. And one more thing is that we do see parole board members release release child predators and release different type of people into the community, usually with much more leniency. But I think when it comes to DUIs, they're much more cautious, and that's because the a vehicular homicide, it traces straight. It always makes the paper. You can't hide that. You know, when a child is reharmed, people don't hear about it. It gets swept under the rug. But when someone is killed in a vehicular homicide, and then the press goes crazy, they say, how is it possible he's even on the road? And that's, I think, one reason, additional reason why we don't see parole board members, why they're extra cautious, because it's their reputation on the line. And I think that's saying something. But I'll leave on that note. And with that, I'll let you go.